Okay, hey guys, what's up? Um, the sun is kind of shining all over the place, but it's like not that bright, so hopefully it's okay. Um, hey, happy whatever day it is. I guess it's the beginning of the week. I'm really tired. I'm not really tired. I just have no energy. Same thing, but this I worked this morning, which I never work in the morning. So I'm like ready for a nap, but it's very rare that I get my like nighttime hours, so I want to use them and like do something, but I also just want to go to bed. But I also never sleep until like 2, 3, 4 a.m. And if I don't take a nap, then I'll be able to stay awake later. Or wait, I'll be able to get to bed early and wake up earlier. Guys, just having a normal sleep schedule is so out of the question. Like, there's no way if like while having a bartending job. And there's also the maybe I could go the like get off at 1 a.m. and then I stay awake until 7 and then sleep until like 3, I guess. But I love 7 to 3. I mean, I'm never awake. I'm not awake until like 11 or 12, sometimes 1 or 2, but those are still good hours. I don't know. I just feel like whatever. I don't want to talk about my sleep schedule. I want to talk about traveling and working and having like a stationary life. Is that the word? I hope it is because I'm going to use that word a lot, even if it's the wrong word. I'm also in a new location. You can probably tell by this gorgeous background. Guys, the seasonal depression is it's hitting different this year. That's for sure. I feel like I've always had, especially in this town, because there's nothing to do, and I love being outside. I love being outside so much. And in the summertime, I have the most amazing schedule, or even like starting April, just being able to wake up and go outside and soak in the sun and get my iced coffee and then like do yoga and then like go swimming and then I'll go to work. But in the winter, it's like, okay, what is the point of waking up if like maybe I'll read a book or something, but that's it. And um I've kind of just been used to that like the past many years of my life since high school. I realized like that's when it affected me. And but the past 2 years, I guess, I've had something to look forward to in the middle of the winter. So it's like, okay, there's like hope, there's happiness here. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't going on a trip in a couple of weeks or in 5 days. In 5 days, whatever. But, like, last year, I was always looking forward to January because that was gonna be my big I'm leaving and I'm going someplace, like, kinda warm. I mean, I was tanning a year ago today, so definitely warm. But, now I mean, and I have something to look forward to now too, but I don't know what I would do if I didn't have something to look forward to, and I don't think I can live in a place where it's like this. Like, or at least not in a place that when it gets cold, there's genuinely nothing to do. Like, there's no events, there's no bars, guys. There's no, like, genuinely nothing besides sitting in parking lots, you know? You know those towns where the only thing to do is sit in a parking lot or have a baby, you know? I need to move, but whatever. Um, okay, so I'm going on this trip. I'm so I'm not even that out of it. I just feel like groggy. I had 2 coffees, but I'm like not that's not even a real yawn. I don't know. So I'm going on a trip in 5 days. So this is the layout of the trip, okay? We're going from here to New York and I'm going to turn 21 in New York and we're going to be there for 5 days, 6 days, I think. Then we're flying from New York to Athens so that I can see some of my old roommates and like go to like my study abroad place and then walk around there and like we're going to spend Valentine's Day there. And yeah, that'll be pretty fun. We're there for like 7 days or something like that. Then we're going from there to London. Maybe we'll hang out in London for the day. Maybe not. And then we're gonna go to Oxford. Guys, I am so excited for Oxford. I'm so excited for all of these places. Like New York is one of my dream places to go ever. And I hate talking about that to people at like my job because Obviously, all the people that I get at work, like, who come up to the bar are guys who are working construction, who own construction companies or concrete businesses or whatever, or they're farmers and they've lived here all their lives and like they have really like they have a lot of money, but they use it at the bar or to go to the lake in the summer, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that lifestyle, but I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm not 21 yet." And they'll be like, "When do you turn 21?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, my birthday's coming up. I'm going on a trip." And then they'll be like, "Where?" I'll be like, "Oh, New York. I'm so excited." And then they'll be like, "Oh, ew, New York. Like, I went to New York. I hated it." I was like, "Do you like cities? Do you like cities?" Because I hate people who go to like Paris or London or something and they're like, "It smelled bad. It was dirty." Did you know that you're going to a city? Like some people travel and they will go to like really big places and if you're from the middle of nowhere and you like the quiet, you don't like crowds, you don't like you're scared of homeless people, you're scared of trash. Why would you go travel somewhere? Like obviously Paris is amazing and beautiful. You're going to hate it if you hate crowds. You're going to hate it if you don't like other people and you don't like big cities. Like, why would you go there? You know, it's not gonna just because it's a really amazing, like a really popular tourist destination doesn't mean that it's not gonna still be a city. That like really gets to me. So lately, I've just been asking people like, you can still go to like the countryside of France. Like, if you know yourself, if you don't like crowds, if you don't like whatever, go somewhere smaller because it's still gonna be really, really cool. It's still gonna be a culture shock. It's still gonna be a foreign country. But it's like, know what you like and what you don't like. If you hate crowds, why are you going to New York? You know, if you work on a farm and you don't want to be surrounded by people, why would you go to New York, huh? So they're like, no, New York sucks. And I'm like, well, do you like, what made you think that you were gonna like New York if you hate on everything that New York is, right? Because my entire life I've been like, I, I just want to be where the people are genuinely, and I can look past scary people, crazy encounters. I can look past trash and high prices and like expensive living for just the experience of New York. Like, I actually wouldn't mind a crazy encounter on the day to day because at least it makes it interesting. And I love having something to do every day. I love having places to be. I love that there are so many different kinds of people and like different areas to like every day can be an adventure if you want it to be, you know? And like, it's not just the fact that it's I don't know what goes through people's heads, but also yes. So anyways, I'm really excited to go to New York. But I'm also really really excited to go to Oxford because so I did study abroad last year. And don't worry, I'm going to get to a point. Whatever. I feel like I just ramble a lot and then eventually I come to a point. Stick around, you know. Um but I watched 2 movies the past 2 nights with my boyfriend, and they coincidentally were set in Oxford, and I'm just so excited because when I studied it abroad, I mostly traveled around the Mediterranean. I think the most north we went was Paris, and then everywhere else was, like, Italy. We went to Spain. Um, Budapest was a little bit different, but for the most part, we were in places where it kinda has that Mediterranean feel, and I love it. Like, I love those areas, but I also have just, like, the biggest itch, and I feel like it's developing more and more as I get older, as I realize how much I love, like, the vibe of older Northern European countries, like Scotland, Ireland, like Germany too, Wales. Because I don't know anything about Wales, but I think my blood tested for, like, a little bit of Welsh, like, a lot, actually, which I know nothing about it, but I always see that girl on TikTok, she looks so cool, and she, like, goes to all the castles because they have the most castles per square mile or something, and that I don't know if it's a country or just, like, a region of, like, Scotland or maybe I have no idea, but anyways, like, I just keep like, Harry Potter and, like, all these movies oh my gosh, guys, there's this movie I just watched, uh, Tristan and Isolde? I don't know. Watch it, cause every time that you see one of those have you guys seen the AI generated, like, knight and princess videos? Because I love those. I hate AI until I see one of those and I'm like, "Oh," and then it's to golden brown probably, and And then all the comments will be like, "Go watch that movie. It's such a good movie." And I love that vibe. And obviously, we're not in like the 1300s or however long ago it was, but still, like, they still have some of the architecture from a while ago. And I feel like it just feels older, especially in somewhere like Oxford. It's going to feel older. And I also read, like, I love Dark Academia. Babel was a really good one. And that's like set in old Oxford. So I'm really, really excited to go there. And then we're going to this place called Brasov, Romania. And that place, honestly, I just booked all these places based on which flight was the cheapest. So there was a flight from Athens to London for it was either $40 per person or $40 altogether. Either way, so cheap. And then the one to Brasov, I have no idea. But it was also really cheap, and Romania as a whole is pretty cheap compared to the US dollar. Like, we can I think we were looking at skiing, and the prices there were insane. It was like $30 for a half day pass or something like that. Dude, what? And they actually have snow on the mountains. Like, there is no snow on these mountains right now, and they're charging like $150 per person for a day pass, not even for your rentals, you know? Um, but yeah. And then we're gonna go back to Athens and then come back. And so I've been working a ton to like save up for this trip, obviously. And at the beginning, I at the when coming back from my study abroad and then Italy, I knew that I'd need to go on a trip because I was going to stay. My plan was to stay home for a year, save up money, and then move abroad. I was like really adamant on I wanted to move abroad, preferably with my sister, and we'd go to like school abroad for a couple years. Because she's graduating high school this year with her associates, so we're like on the same level. And oh, sorry if it's crooked by the way too. I am like on a hill, but I don't know if it's whatever. So sorry about that if that's the case. Anyways, so that was my plan, is like be here for a year, and I'm bartending now, so I'm like making pretty good money and I don't have to pay rent because I'm living with my family. And um the only reason that this worked out is because I'm like so blessed because I love my family so much, and I realized while I was away is that how much my family meant to me. Like in high school, I was one of those, I'm the oldest daughter, okay? And I have an older brother, but in high school, I really hated my family and I was a terrible sister. And I was one of those children who were like always gone. I was always hanging out with my friends. I was always out like drinking. And every time I came home, I was just rude and never wanted to be here. And I never felt like, I think I was just gone. Like, I was drunk too often to appreciate my family. And then I went down like a really bad hole of like depression and whatever. And so then I quit drinking and I became a better sister. And then I left for college and I realized how much I love my family. And then I left for study abroad. And my biggest dream in life has always been to leave this small town and like go move somewhere big. Okay. And just like, I just want to move. And now since I've been traveling, I just want to travel all the time. It's not even just moving to a specific place, it's being able to travel everywhere. But something that I realized while I was abroad is that I really need my family too, and I would give up traveling if it meant to be with my family. But obviously, like, I what sucks is that I can't be happy doing one or the other. Like, I want both. Like, I wasn't happy. I mean, I was happy. I was so happy studying abroad and like being able to travel as much as I could while I was there. But y'all, guys, this is why I hate it here. Like, who is shooting a gun right now? I knew I should have gone to the church parking lot. Fucking. Okay, anyways, so hopefully they don't hit me. um back to it. Where was I at? Um they're probably just shooting the birds. Whatever. So, I realized that I wanted to be with my family. So my solution to this, oh, and then when I'm home, like I hate being in this area so much. I hate it. I love being with my family. I am miserable without them. So I'm miserable in somewhere amazing because I don't have my family, and then I'm miserable somewhere pathetic, but also happy because I have my family. So my solution was study abroad with my sister, travel, move in with my sister. And that's still the plan. But kind of. Well, I'll get there. But so that's the only reason why this works. Like, I'm so lucky to be able to travel as much as I have because I get to stay home and not pay rent. And if I was somebody who didn't have a terrible, or who didn't have like a great family, or I hated my family, I wouldn't be able to do this, you know? And so, but having the option of just like staying home, saving up as much money as I can, having money to go travel and also like still save at the same time has been awesome. But I also hate that I have choices. I mean, yeah, I'm privileged to have choices, but at the same time, it's like, because right now I'm turning 21. I'm still living with my family. And obviously, I haven't accomplished any of the things that I'd wanted to accomplish, like straight out of high school, right? It's usually how it goes in your 20s. And I've always wanted to travel. Okay, so that has been like goals that I have accomplished. Um, but it's so short term, you know? Like you can I've been to Athens, I've been to Paris, and I've seen all these things and been to all of these places with all these incredible people, and it feels so good in the moment. And then I get home and I don't have a car and I don't have a place of my own. And hey, no, none of my friends can come over to my house cuz I'm living with my parents. And it kind of makes you feel like a failure. And that's not true. Like I think when I came home, guys, okay, there it is again. Coming home those first few days, my family doesn't really have a ton of stable cars, okay? So we all kind of rotate, and this is like our nicest car. And we have a Saturn from like way old, but it's so reliable, it's crazy. But it has no tint, and I want it like the maybe 2000 or earlier. It has like the tan interior, like it literally smells like your grandparents' house type deal. And I was driving that around town when I first got back home from traveling, and I was gone for 6 months. And it was the kind of thing where I was like telling people around me, like, yeah, I'm gonna go and do this crazy thing, and it's so exciting and so awesome. And everyone was so excited and so jealous. And then I had to come back, and I'm driving this car around, and it's like, okay, I'm driving around my town, and I feel so pathetic because I don't have any money, and I'm in like this really, really, really crappy car, and I don't have any possessions whatsoever that mean anything. I haven't accomplished anything, and I don't have a good job, you know? And then I'm thinking, and nobody knows that I like was partying at one of the most exclusive clubs in Paris 2 months ago, right? Nobody knows that I just stayed in Italy for a month with my boyfriend. And when you're traveling at a young age, because right now or the past many, many years, everyone has been like, traveling has been a thing that you do once you're retired or your kids are out of the house and you're 40 or 50, and now you get to travel, right? And so, and it's still kind of like that, except now, obviously, it's so hard to get on your feet as a young person. And so I feel like a lot of us really, and this is like the big conversation of this week's episode, is like the difference or the choice between trying to have that stable life of like get an apartment, get a car, get a good job, stay doing that, or just travel around and see how far like $50 can get you and whatever. But when we were abroad, I'm talking about me and my boyfriend, like I felt this way kind of everywhere because I was by myself for a while, and then we stayed in Italy for a month. And every place we went, every restaurant we ate at, every hotel we stayed at, we were the youngest people. This dude and his, like, can you stop? Who are you shooting? The birds? Let them live. Oh my gosh. See, guys, that's the kind of crap. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to talk about it. But everywhere we went, we were the youngest people there. Unless we were in like the city and it's like people who actually live there. But we would always get like stares, or like when we went to Hawaii, he went up to the bar to get us a few drinks. And one of these old guys was like, he's a rich young kid, like let him get his own drinks, because one guy was trying to buy us the drinks, I guess. We're not rich, we actually have no money, but we just save up and spend all of our money on traveling. I mean, we save up like on the back end too, but I think it's like everyone thought we were so successful, and I felt like I was successful because I was there. I felt like I was on top of the world, like I really was the coolest person ever. And then, like I felt like my true self on vacation. I always feel like my true self on vacation because, or while I'm traveling, because nobody knows me, and I get to live exactly how I wish to live because my surroundings aren't holding me back, and like the preconception of who I am isn't holding me back, if that makes any sense. But like, we are in Italy and we can go swimming if we want to, or we can go to a bar if we want to, and we can say whatever we want and do whatever we want and be whoever we want to be. And then in a month, you're going to go back home and you're going to work 7 days a week and live at your parents' house and not have a car to drive around and have no free will. And that's the reality of it. And it's so sad. But it's the sadder part is like, it's kind of like, do you want to grow up or not? And I feel like the only reason why and I don't even feel comfortable, of course, I feel comfortable staying at my own house, but I still feel like a failure, staying at my house. But I also don't at the same time, because I'm like, okay, a ton of kids my age are still doing this because the housing market is trash. Nobody can afford to get food. Nobody can afford to like live like adults when like nobody we can't be adults when we're 21 because the freaking world is not set up for us to be adults. So either you go try and get an apartment with a bunch of roommates because that's all that you can do, and then go work your ass off and like maybe go to the college at the same time. And if you go to college, hopefully you can get a job out of there and you don't fall into a ton of debt because AI stole your job or something. And then like hopefully you have a reliable car and it doesn't cost you like $500 a month that you're going to be paying for the next 6 years, you know? But it does. I mean, that might be a little dramatic because I haven't bought a car. I don't know. But like that is the reality of it. Like if I want to move out of my parents' house, I'm going to have roommates, and I'm not going to be able to probably afford anything besides like my car and my groceries and maybe a couple nights out a week. And if it's here in this area, I'm going to like be miserable. Or I could try and move somewhere cool that's more expensive. Like I think I can do it. Like I want to be able to do it. And with roommates, like I should be able to do it. But what it feels like when I think of getting an apartment and settling down and stuff is it feels like I'm going to be trapped, you know? And when I'm traveling all the time, that is the epitome of free. And obviously, it's hard to stay traveling 24/7, but it's just as hard as getting like an apartment and settling down is what it feels like. So I moved out my first year after high school. I moved out and went to college, and I got an apartment with my friends, and I had 3 roommates, and we all split the rent, and I had a car with me. I was going to college and I was working at the same time, and I was never more miserable in my entire life. Like, that was genuinely the worst time in my life. There were a lot of reasons that contributed to that, but uh, like most of it was because of the breakup that I was going through, and I was just insanely depressed that year, mostly because of the breakup. But another part of it was because I was out of the house alone and away from my family for the first time, and I was so stressed about being able to feed myself and being able to pay rent, neither of which felt possible. Like, I got to the point where I had to ask my family for money, and I never thought that I'd have to do that, and I never wanted to have to do that. And having to do that so early on in like my adulthood felt so terrible, because I was like, what the heck? Like, there, if I can't do this now where my rent is probably the cheapest it'll ever be, and I'm not even like, I am like literally not spending money on anything, then how am I supposed to do this for the rest of my life? And I had two jobs at the time, which is crazy. And I was working all the time, but it still wasn't ever enough. And that is the crazy part to me. And like going to school, whatever. But that year was my first look at like what adulthood looks like, and just being out of the house, I guess. And I didn't have kids to take care of. Like, it was just me out there. And like, that was level easy, right? But it was so hard. And then flash forward a year later, after saving up, after living with my family, I went and traveled for 5, 6 months and had the best time of my life. And that was easier. Going, and mind you, I know studying abroad is completely different than like actually traveling by yourself, because you kind of have a safety net of like, this is my school and this is my home base. And the thing that's similar is like, you still have the freedom of, you can go to any country whenever you are like, I don't know. The thing that makes it so similar for me, because even going on this trip coming up and then going on the few trips that I've gone on in between, when I studied abroad, I went completely alone. There was one other person that came from my school, and I didn't know him and I didn't speak to him hardly at all while I was over there. But talking to all these people like at my job before I went, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Greece." And they'd be like, "By yourself?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, like I'm going by myself." And I'd never flown by myself. I'd never been outside of the country ever before that point. And I I did it all alone. Like, which is, it makes sense now. Like, I don't really think of it as a big deal now, but back then, landing that first night in Greece, I bought a bottle of wine and a pack of cigarettes, and I chugged the wine, and I went to this dinner. I went to a dinner that I heard about from like a conversation that I was eavesdropping on, I think. I don't know. I didn't know about this dinner. I think we got it in our emails, but we had a bajillion emails, so whatever. And so I show up at, I think it was another dorm that I wasn't supposed to be at. It wasn't my dorm. And the sucky thing about my study abroad is that I was thrown into like dorms that were not study abroad dorms. They were full time student dorms. And so none of my roommates showed up for like 5 days. And so I went to that first night and I talked to everybody. I made friends. We went out, whatever. It was awesome. And coming from a, like, I never had a real college experience. I never had been in a situation like that. And so to be completely on my own in a foreign country and make all the things happen for myself that I'd wanted to happen for so long was the best feeling ever. And it gave me like, study abroad was just like a high the entire time. I was just high on life the whole time. Even when I was hungover, no sleep, and had to be at class the next day after just like landing from the airport, I was still like the happiest I'd ever been. And since being back, the only thing that I can think about is where I'm going to go next, how I'm going to travel next, how I'm going to get there. And that brings me back to like when I got back, I knew that I was going to travel at least 2 times because I wanted to go somewhere for my boyfriend's birthday and I wanted to go somewhere for my birthday. Um, and so for my birthday, I was like, okay, we're gonna go to New York or and Miami. And then we ended up getting a flight to Athens. And I'm hoping, guys, I after study abroad, I thought that I would be so ready to settle down, like not settle down. I thought I was gonna be my mind was set on I'm studying abroad in another year with my sister. Like that was the plan. And now since being home, I'm like, okay, the pressure is on. Like I need an apartment, I need a car, I need to do all these things. Like I need to become an adult because being 21 and not having any of these things, not having a good job, not having like the only person actually in my life who is my age, who I look up to, and not even look up to, but has it figured out in that kind of way is my best friend who has a baby and has been with her boyfriend since high school. Okay. And they have a place and they have a couple cars and he has a good job, you know? And I'm like, okay, like I can make that happen. Like I can get a pretty good job. Like I have been making decent money from bartending, you know. I can save up enough money to get an apartment. I can save enough of money to get a car in like the next 6 months. Like I can do that. And I can pick somewhere cool to go live and live there with my sister and my boyfriend and like we'll have fun. We'll split the rent and we'll just work until we maybe get better jobs and then maybe we'll get a better apartment or maybe we'll move somewhere else. And so that's one option, right? And then the other option is I want to take my $5,000 I've saved up and book a flight maybe to South America, maybe to Asia, maybe back to Europe and see what I can find on what's that one app? See what I can find on Worldpackers and see how long I can house sit or take some care of somebody's dog or work on a farm, you know? How long like I know eventually I'm going to have to like settle down. And what I think of it as growing up because as cool as like traveling is forever and as much of an accomplishment as it is, it also at the same time feels like I'm delaying the inevitable. But I don't want to work every day of my life, right? And what sucks is that when I'm not traveling, I'm not living. I am working as much as I can to save as much as I can so that for 1 month out of the year or 2 months, I can be who I really, really truthfully am, which is who I am when I'm traveling, right? It sucks too because to me, traveling and getting an apartment is like the same amount. Like if I was country hopping in Europe and I pay for an Airbnb for a month and I find like a really good one, like that's $2,000 for an Airbnb. And then food over there is cheaper, transportation over there is cheaper. You can stay up to 3 months in certain countries and then go to the next one. Like that's cheaper than paying for $2,000 for an apartment and then a car payment and whatever else, you know? I feel like the hard part, like the part that makes it hard about figuring out if I want to travel and just like keep trying to live this life or if I want to grow up and settle down and start working forever is the fact that I feel like there's not much to accomplish with adulthood because what are the chances of me like actually getting a good job? What are the chances of me being able to buy a house in a few years? Because I'm not going to be saving up money when I'm paying for an apartment and like unless I would get, like, really lucky with a job, you know? And I don't want to have a family right now, like, I don't wanna raise kids right now. But the truth about traveling is that it is so addicting, and I don't think I've ever experienced like, I have experienced addiction, but I feel like I've been very lucky because I've been able to get over alcohol and, like, nicotine, and it hasn't really affected me too much. Like, I haven't been sucked into it for years and years and years of my life and had it been, like, a really hard struggle to get out of. But with traveling, that is all I think about 24/7, and it's honestly the only time in my life that I am, like, really, really, really happy, and it's so hard to see it and then come back to especially the US. Like, I don't know if it's like that for everywhere, like, somebody living in South America and they travel for months to somewhere and then they come home and they're like, "Whoa, what the heck is this?" But especially coming back to America, that's, like I think I've been back for 6 months now, something like that, maybe 7, and I at first, when I came back, I hated it so much. I hated the US and I was just ready to get back to Europe and I was set on study abroad next year with my sister. Now being back forever, I'm like, okay, well maybe I can get the apartment and like get the car and get the job and like get the nice things and whatever else the fuck that we are supposed to get to have these status symbols, you know? Like, who gives a shit if you have a nice car? I don't. Have you ever seen like a volcano explode in Catania? Bitch. But it's like while you're here, that's all that matters. And I feel like I I work at this bar where it's just like TVs, advertisements, everything. Like you can't even open the menu and like look because it's just like fucking your eyes with like how many advertisements there are, how many meal deals that don't save you any money for this trash food that gave me stomach aches for literal months after I got back. Whatever, now I'm getting angry. But it's because like I felt like I was living real life while I was abroad. And I think that anybody who travels like that feels that way too, and that's why it's so hard because you know what it's like and I wish it was easier to just pick up and move. And I wish you didn't like with a US passport at least. Unless you find the right job and the right visa, like you can't just pick up and settle down. Like if you want to travel, you're going to have to be on the move for a while. Like and you can't just get a job, right? What I'm scared of is that this is going to be the last trip that I go on, and I don't want that to be the case. I really don't. And it sucks because, like, in your 20s, it's just like year after year feeling like you should have things figured out and you don't. And so I feel like, yes, obviously I need to move out of my parents' house. Yes, obviously I need to get a car of my own. Yes, obviously I need to start a career. Do I want to sign myself up for a life of meaningless work and the inability to grow into a house or a a nice paying job and be able to enjoy my life because of course it would be nice to live somewhere where it's like I have work life balance. I go out with my friends for coffee in the morning and I go out on the weekends and I go out for dinners and there's events all the time and I love my neighbors and I love this house and I feel like my money gets me far and I feel like my work is appreciated and it means something, but it doesn't. I don't feel like any of those things are true. And I feel like if I got an apartment here and, or any other place in the United States, I'd feel like I was just getting screwed over. And I don't really want to settle down and feel like I'm getting screwed over by life. Because that's what it feels like majority of the time. It's like every time I go to the doctor, every time I go, like when I'm signing my lease, I feel like I'm just getting screwed over in life. When I get my diploma in the mail, okay, I just got screwed. And the one times that when I don't feel like I'm getting screwed is when I'm paying for a $10 train to take me to the coolest island I've ever seen. Ferry. I don't know. Like that's the point of life, right? Is to experience it, right? And why like it sucks because if you don't want to live that life that we are supposed to live, this life of working till you drop, and then maybe when you're 60, you can retire and then you'll go travel. Bitch, you need a cane now because you broke your back from working all those hours and you're exhausted. You mentally you're not all there anymore because your mind is gone. And now you're supposed to go and experience the world. Like I hate this. I hate it. Whatever. I thought I was also going to be more coherent today, but I wasn't. But it's like dang, I feel just like pressure, obviously. And I should feel pressure but also, why should I feel pressure to go and do all of these things and become an adult when that is like the saddest life I've ever seen? I'm not really jealous of your maybe like yes, I'm jealous of your apartment and your car, but have you ever gone and like lived life? Like you really just clock in every day. I clock in every day just so that I can like experience fun for a little bit. And now I'm giving up the fun for a little bit to have my possessions. Whatever. So, anyways, I am gonna go now. And when I get back from this trip, hopefully I know what I want to do. Hopefully I know if I want to try and be abroad for a few years and then figure it out if I want to keep delaying adulthood or if I think that it'll be smart to get an apartment and whatever. But I am going to try. No, I'm not going to try. I'm going to drop vlogs of each place that we go to. So the first one will be New York for my 21st birthday, and I'll be with my boyfriend. And yeah. So New York vlog, Athens, Oxford, and Brasov. It's like I'll be gone until February 28th or something, and I'm leaving on the 6th. Maybe I'll post before then, but yeah, I'm gonna try and post these travel vlogs and probably a few of these in between too. But yeah, I hope everyone has a great day. 20s, being in your 20s sucks, and I can't believe I'm turning 21. I really thought I'd be famous by now. Didn't we all? But that's okay because at least I traveled, you know? At least I'm going to keep traveling. I'm so excited, guys. But whatever. I'm going to go now and probably talk more about this to my boyfriend because he feels the same way. But he's more of a worker, like his ideal way to look at it is yeah, I'm going to get a job and I'm going to make bank. I'm going to make so much money that we're going to be able to travel all the time and then we'll have kids in like 8 years. I don't know if I want to have kids. Whatever. We don't got to talk about that right now. Okay, bye guys. Love you.